The Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack will hold the first in a series of public hearings following a nearly year-long investigation. U.S. Capitol Police Officer Carolyn Edwards, who was injured that day, will testify, as well as documentary filmmaker Nick Quested. He'll share his story. He was filming far-right extremist groups on January 6th. And in addition to that, we here this morning have new audio of Republican House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. It was recorded just days after the assault. So let's go now to congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane, who has that audio for us, and to learn more about what the committee will be focusing on tonight before we get to it. Scott, good morning again.
Hey, Tony, good morning. We're going to hear the words conspiracy and coordination a lot tonight. Like, when did the coordination begin? We know where it ended, and the best perspective to show you is the west front of the Capitol, where a crowd of thousands used their size and their magnitude coordinating a breach of the police lines. You'll hear the name Oath Keepers a lot tonight, the far-right group accused of conspiracy and of using this choreographed military stack formation to get past the police lines and get past the doors. We'll also hear the name Proud Boys a lot tonight, another accused conspiracy group, another far-right group accused of leading people in this mob into the Capitol. And we'll see images like this. Talk about coordination. In the West Front Tunnel, a coordinated medieval claustrophobic fight by rioters against police. But in a broader sense, we're going to figure out, we're going to hear what gave rise to this seminal American moment, like this one, where in Nancy Pelosi's office suite, we have people walking the halls after Speaker Pelosi was evacuated. Elsewhere, off the Senate chamber, you'll recall this, the Vice President of the United States evacuated out the back door, down a staircase to an evacuation site. And then just 30 minutes later, people inside the Capitol in that same staircase, banging on doors. The question is, Tony, what gave rise? What gave rise to this moment?
Yeah, that is the question. It's going to be a lot of focus on that today. And speaking of questions, we've got some questions for you.
Yeah. So, Scott, let me ask you. It's Vlad. So there's some new audio obtained by CBS News from the authors of This Will Not Pass, and it reveals the conversations that Republican lawmakers were having amongst themselves in the days after the attack, including this clip from Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. I want to play that for our viewers.
We cannot just sweep this under the rug. We need to know why it happened, who did it, and people need to be held accountable for it. And I'm committed to make sure that happens.
All right, so Scott, how do we get from that to where we are now with this largely partisan investigation?
It's a long journey. Let's show you where it started. On January 6th at about 2 p.m., you'll recall this image from inside the House chamber. There were some Republican members of the House who helped barricade this door to keep the rioters out, who helped police prepare for that moment. At the same time, there were some Republicans on the upper level of the chamber hiding beneath chairs as a group tried to break open those windows and get inside. In the time since, we've heard Republicans call the committee investigating this illegitimate because it's composed of members exclusively chosen by Speaker Nancy Pelosi. They've called it a witch hunt. One Republican member called what happened that day a typical tourist visit. They'll continue to criticize the committee with a press conference later today.
Yeah, it's one thing to be in the midst of it, something else when you have some time to think about it. Incredible flip-flop. But, Scott, I have to ask you, you've been covering this more, perhaps more than anyone else out there. What are you going to be looking for?
Michelle, are we going to get answers about the 3 hours? What was happening and what was not happening at the White House during the 3 hours in which medieval fighting was happening here at the Capitol, as police were trying to stop a crowd, as police were trying to get control of the Capitol complex? The committee has been clear. They want to know who was in President Trump's ear. What was he saying? What was he hearing in the hours as the riot occurred and before the Capitol was breached?
Interesting. A lot of questions hopefully will be answered. Scott, thank you so much.